In the early hours of January 4th, 1975, Carlos Alberto Diaz was making his way home when he encountered something out of this world. He passed out and awoke in a strange craft with strange occupants. What followed was truly weird and still leaves us wondering today about what happened during the abduction of Carlos Alberto Diaz. All right, welcome back to
Unknown,
Unsolved,
Unseen.
Triple U. Woohoo! Welcome back to episode 84 of the podcast, everyone. This is Unknown, Unsolved, Unseen, where we talked about all the weird, wacky shit in the world and try and add some little humor into it and definitely take it very serious. I'm your strange host, Frank, and today we're joined by somebody new. Welcome to the podcast, Noah.
Hi.
So, how's it feel to be on for the first time?
I feel like I'm going to throw up, but that's okay.
Okay,
I have a
podcast
bucket on
related or
standby.
not podcast related for throwing up?
Oh, podcast related. This is a big deal. I'm about to be famous.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be famous from the Unknown, Unsolved, Unseen podcast. Also, sorry guys if anyone can hear in the background. Atlas decided now's the time to chew stuff. Good on you, Atlas. You do you, boo. Oh, he's like looking at me now that I said that. Yeah. Thank you for joining today. Anything you want to say before we get into some of the other stuff?
No, I'm just excited to learn and understand about this ghost encounter, this UFO sighting and everything, the alien encounter.
Perfect. All right. Well, just a quick announcement for everybody. Sage will be, I think in 2-3 weeks, we'll be back to the full time alternating between me and Sage with her on every episode. We should hopefully have some more stability in life and everything won't be falling to shit. But with that being said, last week we finally did a true crime, and this week we are returning back to aliens, despite we did that 2 weeks ago. It was hard to choose what to do, especially with all those conspiracies out there, like how the hell the Toronto Maple Leafs got the first overall pick in the NHL in the fucking draft. My heart goes out to Gavin McKenna for going to be stuck being a Maple Leaf for like the next 7 years. Poor kid. Fucking Leaves. Had to be rigged. No way they get the first overall over Vancouver or San Jose or any other worse teams, but no. Gavin McKenna's career is ruined. You know nothing that I'm talking about, Noah.
Not a clue.
Occasionally,
Go sports.
we just bitch about something in the NHL, like the Flyers last time, and this time we're bitching about Maple Leafs and Gavin McKenna becoming a Leaf. He's supposed to be first overall in the draft this year, and he is right now playing for Penn State. So, kind of localish stuff to us.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But all right. We're not here to bitch about the Leafs today, despite I bet a lot of people would love to do that. If you go to the hockey subreddit, it was a pretty rough day whenever they got first pick. But we're here to talk about aliens. Today we're heading back down to South America for yet another alien abduction. We'll be heading down to Argentina for what I think is our first episode fully in Argentina on a topic we're covering. I believe Argentina was mentioned in our episodes of cryptid saber-toothed cats and ground sloths, but forget about those prehistoric cryptids and get your tinfoil hats on. Today we'll be covering the case of the abduction of Carlos Alberto Diaz. Noah, have you ever heard of this case?
Not a chance.
I could not find a single podcast episode that talked really about this. There might be some out there just labeled differently, but I did not find much. So this is not widely talked about. I only found a few sources. 2 of those web pages were the same organization, but it's a trustable one. Now, are you familiar with alien abductions at all?
Well, I mean, other than the probings Not a whole lot.
Did you listen to our episode on Antonio Villas-Boas, the guy who had sex with the aliens?
I don't think so.
That's
I feel
episode
like that'd
six.
be memorable.
That's episode 69, because of course that's the only episode I would ever want to do that
Right.
for. But that's a really good one. And just like that one that happened in Brazil, this one's down in South America. This is a weird ass case, not for alien sex. So no. The other one was weird as hell for alien sex. This is weird for very different reasons. No, you might be able to relate to the reasons why this is weird.
I don't like how we're starting off.
You-
Not for sex, just weird reasons. Noah, you might be able to.
Yeah. I think you'll relate to the weird parts of this.
Okay, let's go.
Let's head down to Bahia Blanca, Argentina. I think I said that right. Bahia Blanca? Blanca? I don't know. Argentina. And look into this close encounter of the third kind. We're going to head back to 1975, the year of our Lord, as I say every time we go back some year. This encounter centers around a man, 28-year-old Carlos Alberto Diaz. Diaz was a married man, father of one child, and he was born in Ingerio White, which is a district in Bahia Blanca, which is a province in Buenos Aires. All of this in Argentina. And this is a fairly more rural area. And I'm probably butchering a shitload of names here. And don't worry, I'll butcher more. Do you know any Spanish, Noah?
No.
I didn't you take German in high school?
Yeah.
So
and even that, I forget everything. So
I've actually had, I think, 2 episodes based in Germany so far. Yeah, but I've had some with other Spanish-speaking stuff, and I just butcher names really bad. I don't do nearly enough U.S.-based stories. I try and look for some obscure things, and then I get all these big-ass words that I keep on butchering.
yeah,
Maybe I should stop doing that.
no, keep butchering them. That's our privilege. We're allowed to.
All right. Well, our boy Diaz here was a clerk in a central store, which I assume is a general store, and he was also a waiter on the side to get some more money. He worked stuff like weddings and whatnot. On the early morning of January 4th, 1975, Carlos Alberto Diaz was finishing up with his shift as a waiter at the Holy Protective Society of the Naposta district in Bahia Blanca. I think I got that right. Also, when I say morning, we're talking like 3:05 a.m. and not when the sun's shining. So like it's weird when I talk about this because it's very obviously like you stand out there at 3:05 a.m. It's night. It's technically the early hours of the morning. It just doesn't feel like morning though.
No.
So remember that when I mentioned morning, it's like fucking dead middle fucking night, witching hour 3 a.m. bullshit. Which, damn, if I got out of work at 3 a.m., that'd suck ass. The latest I think I've ever gotten out of work is like 1:30. That was when I worked at Hershey Park. Back on this, he went outside and purchased a newspaper and then caught the bus to head home. It was a 7-block walk to the bus stop, and he arrived at the stop at 3:30. So far, just a normal day, I guess. Normal night with an overcast sky. He got off the bus just a few blocks from his home and would walk the rest of the way. This walk would take him through a large, desolate railroad yard. If I had to walk through that on my way home, I'd look for another way. I don't want to go on a desolate railroad yard to go home. Would you?
Sounds like he's asking to be abducted, really.
Not just by aliens, possibly by people too.
Yeah, really.
Now, there was a bright light that came from the clouds, and he assumed it was an approaching storm. The light did temporarily blind him, and he described the light as not straight, but broken. I don't understand that. I don't understand what a straight light is, let alone a gay light. Maybe rainbow colored, so this light was not rainbow colored?
No comment.
No comment, Noah?
No comment.
I just thought like the straight light was the opposite to a gay light, just like how Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz, but I doubt they've looked into blocking the gay of Hormuz yet. I
Good political commentary. Good.
sometimes I just gotta jam stuff in. But this all is happening at 3:50 a.m. When he regained his sight, he decided he just needed to get home right away. It was in sight. He could see his house right there, and he was ready to run for it. But something was wrong. He couldn't move. He was paralyzed. Diaz then heard a humming sound, which sounded like rushing air or maybe some wind. Then things got even stranger as Diaz was pulled off the ground by about 3 meters or about 10 feet. He tried to resist, but it didn't work. His vision then faded, and then he fainted and fell unconscious. Diaz would regain consciousness and found himself in an unfamiliar setting. He describes his surroundings as a smooth, bright sphere. The sphere appeared to be semi-transparent plastic. Now they're turning the plastic trans too. Oh my goodness. I didn't know if you were going to say anything to that or not. No, you aren't taking all
No
my
comment.
bait of dumb comments.
No comment. I'm afraid.
Why are you afraid? You don't
It's
want
my
to get
first
canceled?
time on the internet. I don't want to get canceled right away.
Goodness, I've already said stuff whenever we did Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum that, oh no, they're turning the asylum trans. I'm
It's a
still
dangerous
around.
world out there.
Fair enough. All right, where was I? Like, there was no
So do
furniture.
you think the tractor beams make the people unconscious?
I don't know. Well, there was bright light
Like, do
first,
you
and
think
that
it's-
seems to what paralyzed him and stopped him.
That's true.
So maybe
Because
it's
I feel like
light.
anytime you hear about these stories, it's like they always wake up. It's not like they're like awake throughout the whole process.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's like a sensation of the tractor beam, like maybe you just go unconscious by like flying upwards.
Have you heard of many other like abduction cases? Are you familiar with any others in particular?
Nothing with aliens.
So the Antonio Villas-Boas one, that one, like the aliens that were basically wearing gimp suits, and I'm not kidding when I say this, but even in the depictions of them, they literally ran him down and tackled him. That's how they got him. So definitely not a paralyzing tractor beam.
Huh.
And then when it was the Travis Walton UFO abduction, they're actually witnesses to seeing him get abducted, and a ray of light shot down and hit him before he was abducted. So it wasn't the tractor beam, but he got like hit by a flash of light.
Huh.
So I don't think it would be the tractor beam that's knocking people out. I think it's something else that knocks you out or causes the memory loss.
Well, so here's the other thing too, is like if like let's say like if we believe in aliens, right?
Yep.
Does that only mean we believe in one species of alien that's been causing all this entire time, or is it multiple?
Because if you believe in something like Hopkinsville and anything else, the Hopkinsville goblins are unlike like anything else you see. But when you think of some things, like for example, there's a theory about Dwight Eisenhower meeting with aliens to make an agreement, and in that agreement, that we are visited by multiple aliens, and the Greys make an agreement to us that they basically have sole sole ownership in abductions and visitations on Earth, and the others are disbarred from coming. So there are theories that tales that directly relate to there being multiple species out there. So it is interesting. It is very interesting when you look at it that way. If you are looking at the multiple or the singular. Now, this case here tells us nothing. Because also what I will be describing later differs from any other tales. Because sometimes you have tales where there's enough similarity between sightings that you can like kind of match them up. Either somebody's just like basing it off another one, or they are in fact the same species. Like gray aliens appear a lot. Nordic aliens appeared a lot. Mantid aliens here and there, but that's a weirder one. Human-looking ones, like the last episode I did, the Wartena UFO incident. Those ones were more human-looking, which you see a lot of in the pre-60s alien encounters. which I'm going to make some references to that episode, so I know you got to check that out later. But
Okay.
back to this craft. There was no furniture or devices in the sphere. This means that these aliens are most likely different from the aliens in the Wartena encounter that we did 2 weeks ago, as they had an eye for interior design. These guys are lacking. They're quite honestly slacking in their interior design. Because in that episode, one of the things noted by the witness whenever he went onto the UFO was that they had these beautiful upholstered benches.
These are all dude aliens.
But that is what the guy, like one of his things he noticed was they had these wonderful upholstered benches. In this one, there's nothing in the UFO. Definitely different species here, if we're believing that theory. There's no way did that one species have an eye for interior design, and then these guys are like blank sphere. I mean, shit. The ones in the Joe Simonton UFO encounter, everything was like a metal colored, and they had a griddle making saltless pancakes. I'm assuming you might not have heard that one yet.
No, just fucking salted. What?
Dude in Wisconsin had a UFO come down in his yard. He gave them water. In exchange, they gave him 3 pancakes that the government tested. I have a knack for finding the most fucking weird cases because I've covered now that case, the Villas Boas one, the Wartena UFO encounter, and now this one. And then I've kind of like done the more serious ones like Roswell and Kecksburg. But I have a knack for finding the most serious, goofy ass cases. And those aliens in the Joe Simonton one, how do you think he described those aliens? Italian looking. Italian looking. 3 Italian looking aliens.
They just have like mustaches?
No mustaches. They were like shorter. They just looked Italian, I guess. Or dare I say
Talk
Italian.
with their hands a lot.
That's what I was thinking. Did they have them spicy meatballs? God, some like... Oh. All right. Back to this here. There were no fixtures emitting any light. Diaz assumed the light was coming from the walls. He was in a position of half kneeling and half laying on his side against several openings of about 3 centimeters or 1.25 inches in diameter. These holes were on the bottom of the sphere, and air was coming through them. Then he realized it actually wasn't air, and some type of gas was coming through the holes, but he didn't know what it was. He tried to turn away from the holes, but that made him feel ill, so he assumed the gas that was going through was keeping him conscious, so the man needed his holes to stay awake.
It's a good thing he didn't start plugging the holes.
Damn right. Now, he estimated the sphere was 2.5 to 3 meters in diameter, which is 8 to 10 feet in diameter. Now, are you ready for where this gets even weirder?
Yeah.
Diaz claims that 3 creatures resembling humans came sliding into the sphere. Like they slid in. I'm guessing through the walls or something, which is really fucking weird. But that also aligns with the aliens in the Cusack encounter in France that we covered in like one of our episodes in the 40s. So we have covered a similar thing where they kind of glided into a sphere. But those aliens in the Cusack encounter don't look anything to like what I'm about to describe here. So he described them as being 1.75 to 1.8 meters tall, which is 5.7 to 5.9 feet tall. Their heads were half the size of human heads. So no Megamind, no bitch's head type of deal. What do you think their heads look like, though, Noah?
Shiny.
Well, what do you think like their faces and everything look like?
I'm feeling like eyes wide apart and like really small nose and mouth.
Well, you're wrong. Their heads were devoid of any features. No ears, nose, no mouth, or eyes. Nothing. Slenderman-looking ass dudes. Their heads were a mossy green color, and the bodies were thin and covered in a light cream-colored rubber-looking material. So you have a cream-colored like bodysuit, basically, and then these fucking like green ball heads, and that's all it is. No eyes, no ears, no nothing. Like bald ass dudes, Noah. These are bald aliens. The true definition of bald.
Hang on. What if it was like a their own protective suit?
It could be, but who knows? It's hard to tell, really.
I mean, this guy just, passed out and is like barely conscious
He's
because of
very
gas in
confident
the
that he
room.
was very conscious and aware at this point, though.
Okay. All
I
right.
didn't add that detail, but now that you say it that way, I'll mention that was a detail that he mentioned, that he's very conscious and aware at this point.
All right.
So these creatures were also completely hairless. They were bald boys. Now, the arms were straight and very flexible. Instead of any fingers, they had stumps at the end. No finger foods for them. So stump arms, featureless heads. And you'd think also if they had ears or anything, like if they were wearing like a mesh over it, you'd possibly see the outlines of where anything would be, right?
True, I guess, yeah.
Now, Diaz gets into where this gets weird now. Now, the shit is very weird. And if you thought it was weird before, you will be impressed by this. They started to pull tufts of hair from Diaz's head. With no fingers, he was confused of how they did this, but they kept grabbing into his head and ripping his hair out. Each time they pulled hair from him, they would jump up and down and wave their arms in some type of like pleasure or excitement. They were so excited, these bald aliens were stealing the hair off a dude with hair. They were stealing it off his head, and they were jumping in joy that they were taking the hair off of him. Noah, is this what
Sounds
bald
like,
people do in their free time?
Yeah. One of us,
Or are you trying to get your hair back by ripping it off somebody else?
No, everyone has to be as miserable as me.
Oh my god.
So how'd they build this ship with stumps?
I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Like, obviously, like they have like the force or something. Like, what is that? Something.
I don't know. Maybe they just like to, go around somehow with the force, make ships and stuff, visit planets, and rip the hair off of the indigenous life. And imagine how many other planets have had their subjects' hair rip clean off by these weirdos. It's just,
it's an epidemic of bald people.
These are like, there are sci-fi stories where some alien race spreads around making sure like their religion or their way of life is dominant. These guys are trying to make sure the galaxy is full of baldies like them. What would happen if they abducted you, Noah?
We'd be friends.
Actually, do you have any chest hair? Because it is mentioned they did rip off some chest hair too.
Oh, come on.
You ought to be fully bald and no hair anywhere.
They just want like purely naked, smooth skin bodies.
Who doesn't? Isn't that what a woman loves in a man?
Exactly.
Or a man loves in a woman. You need your partner to be completely hairless and featureless. That's how we get to true equality.
Preach.
Diaz would try to resist and struggle, but he made no progress. He felt that their bodies were soft and that they had some kind of suckers on their arms. Bald-ass octopus people, basically. So they had like suckers that he couldn't see clearly, but there were suckers on the hands, and that's how they were able to grab everything.
Yeah, maybe it's like millions of like little suckers, just they're able to like pinch and stuff.
Still, you have no like fingers to like grab anything. Like even with suckers, I feel like it'd be so hard.
Maybe they're just really sticky.
Now, they also never walked inside there at all. They only ever levitated.
Huh.
So these dudes were just floating around. And they were trying to, just rip hair off with their freaking suckers. These octopus, bald ass, green looking aliens, weirdos.
But he wasn't levitating.
No, Diaz was on the ground. Now, there's a funny picture of this, though. Let me see if I can get my phone real quick and send it to you, because can I just Snapchat it to you so it's easy that way? Because it's on my computer. I'll just take a picture of this. But this is such a funny picture because it looks like he's being held down by one alien. Well, one just gangs up on him and one watches in the cucked chair. Let me find your thing here. All right. Check your Snapchat real quick and tell me what you think of this, the artist's depiction of this. And in this one, I think they're taking his chest hair. This will be a picture used for the episode whenever you guys see it on Instagram. What do you think of the picture, Noah?
Oh my god.
It looks so stupid.
Looks terrible.
I know. It's almost like the one's holding him both. Now he's grabbing the hair off his chest. It's almost like he's beating him up while the other one just watches. Sometimes abductions are a spectator sport, and you got the third one who's in the cuck chair.
Yeah, I guess.
Atlas is drinking water right now, so hopefully you guys cannot hear it, but who knows? So, back to all of this. Sorry, I was not wrong when I said this would get a lot weirder, right?
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, did this one get fucking weird. Now, one of the creatures, as I sang in the picture, but I have it written here, one of the creatures held him down while another pulled hair from his head and chest in the third watch. So you got your strongman, your hair freak, and the cuck. He said he felt no pain, and the creatures were slow, very strong, and seemingly tireless. Do you think for that third guy, like any good hotel room, that the alien sphere had a cuck chair in it?
Huh?
Yeah, the cuck chair, right?
Yeah, I have one.
Do you think they have one in, like, do you think that alien sphere has one and we just didn't see it, like how a hotel room has one, and that's what that third alien should have been sitting in?
I mean, do you really even need a chair? It's all about just being present for the other two.
You know what? That's a fair point indeed, Noah. So, back on this. After this all happened, Diaz passed out again. He eventually woke up lying on grass, faced up. He tried to open his eyes, but had to close his eyes as he was looking right up at the sun as it was high in the sky because it was midday at that point. It seemed to have been several hours since the start of all of this. He saw that his watch was stuck at 3:50 a.m. still. That's from when he got paralyzed. And he was near a large, busy highway. Next to him was a bag of his work clothes and the newspaper he had grabbed earlier. He felt ill and would feel like this way throughout the day of the encounter. He would still feel ill. He was allegedly about 200 miles away from where he first encountered the aliens, and the fact that he had the newspaper from all the way back to where he was abducted was used as proof of this.
Oh my god.
A man on the highway stopped after he saw Diaz on the grass on the side of the highway. He assumed Diaz had been hit by a car. Diaz explained that what had happened, and the man took him to the nearest hospital. It took 25 minutes to get there, and they arrived at 8:30 p.m. However, then it was also claimed that he made there at 4:15 p.m. So I've seen two different times, and this is where it starts to get weird. Is I start seeing some very weird statements on like what times it is, because there's some lack of consistency from our boy Diaz here. So Diaz was then kept at the Ferroviario? I don't know how to say it. I'm not Spanish. Hospital in Buenos Aires. He was questioned and examined many times for the 4 days by 46 different doctors. The hospital's director would also inform the federal police, who would then question him. It was apparently the talk of the town between those doctors and the police for those 4 days, because they kept questioning him and examining him. Throughout the examinations, there was no evidence of psychological or physiological alterations. All that could be found was the dizziness, upset stomach, lack of appetite, and missing hair. I can definitely relate to 3 of those 4 things.
I can relate to all of them.
You got that little extra on all of us?
A little less than extra, but yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, so the day following the encounter, all he had to consume the entire day was 1 cup of milk, and that 1 cup of milk had to be fed forcibly to him.
Milk seems like such a random thing.
Yeah, he had to have his milk forcibly drank to him. And sometimes you just gotta get your milk one way or another, whether it be forced or not. He had to get the milk forced into him for that day. Do you ever have those moments, Noah, where you just, the doctor has to just force feed you milk?
Never in my life.
Damn, I guess you can't relate.
But I've never been abducted, so maybe it's like a cure.
Yeah, that'd be the cure.
Like
Apparently,
in signs they're afraid of water, these ones are afraid of milk.
the cure to alien abductions, milk. That's why
Just
they have those
spacecraft
drink
with a bottle
milk.
of milk.
That's why there's those drink
Yeah,
milk
really, the
campaigns.
government's trying to protect us from alien abductions, and everyone's like, "No, we don't want milk."
Damn.
And you know who are the most protected?
Who?
The
Babies?
raw milk community.
I don't know.
You gotta get your Amish raw.
You mean my Listeria milk?
Yeah. See, that's the cure. That's the
Yes.
secret.
Yes, Listeria milk. Yum. All right, we're going to take a quick break here for a minute, guys, to hear a message from some of our friends from another podcast.
If you're anything like me, you're always hunting for stories that make your skin crawl in the best way. That's why I have to tell you about Grimly. Every week, they dig into the unholy, the unsolved, and the deeply unsettling. From chilling true crime to eerie tales that blur the line between fact and folklore. The production is hauntingly good, the storytelling, absolutely captivating. It's the kind of podcast that stays with you long after you finish listening. So if you're ready to explore the darker side of history and humanity, subscribe to Grimly wherever you get your podcasts. Just don't say I didn't warn you.
All right, thank you for listening to that message from our friends. If you like what you heard there, go check out their podcast. With that being said, we are going to get back into the abduction of Carlos Alberto Diaz. Apparently, this is actually similar to another case called the Higdon case, which I'm not familiar with, and I guess I'll have to cover that some other time. Now, I did find another source, an article in what I believe to be an Argentinian newspaper. It had translated in through like the web browser, and multiple facts changed based on this. And what I read there, like there was stuff that conflicted with everything else I'd seen. Because the report I had gotten most of my sources from is actually from 1975, the year this happened. This Argentinian newspaper article, they actually interviewed Diaz, and this was 48 years after the event in 2023.
Jeez.
So this is quite a
How
while.
old was he?
He was
Like in
28
his
when he got
70s?
abducted. So now, what, 28 plus 48?
76?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, so he's an
Oh
old
my
man.
god.
Yeah, they interviewed him, and at that point, with 48 years past, I don't know how much I want to take his like account, especially the fact that it differs from what was reported in 75 and 77. Because I have another article that
Plus
I'll mention from 77.
What, 50 years to like
48 years.
his brain probably like block it out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it's a traumatic experience and he doesn't want to remember it. So,
yep. Now, here's where it gets weird. He claimed that two other colleagues were with him when all this happened and saw him get abducted and ran to his house and told his wife what happened. He claims he awoke in a courtyard of somebody's house being guarded by two brave dogs, and this person was the one who actually took him to the hospital. He says he was kept actually for 17 days instead of the 4 days, and also claimed that they found radioactivity on him, but did things that removed it from him the next day.
what do you mean things that removed it from
I don't
him?
know. It didn't even say the details, but like the things I just listed are very contrary to everything else I've mentioned already.
Yeah, they're so random.
I know. And I was like reading this. I'm like, the fuck? Like, I mean, if I didn't read the other stuff before, okay, yeah, then this case would be very different. But I read an article that's from 75 and then an article from 77. And I'm like, I trust those way more than his interview from 1948 that counters both of those.
Yeah.
Sorry, not from 1940, from 48 years later in 2023.
He time traveled back to the end of World War II. It was like, guys, I know you just fought. We just dropped 2 nukes, but I was abducted by an alien.
And they took my damn hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn hair aliens, the hairlians. So how are you feeling so far about this one, Noah?
Oh, it's well, older Mr. Diaz definitely has I don't know. I'm convinced he's like blocked it out or forgotten it, or just, his memories just switched up over the years.
Well, we're going to hear some more on this. 2 years after this encounter, there's actually an investigation done in 1977, which was that 1977 number I was discussing.
Mm-hmm.
This was done by an Argentinian UFO group. It was done by Roberto Enrique Bonches, I think, of the Centro de Estudios de Fenómenos Aéreos Inusuales of Buenos Aires. I could have butchered all of that, but I think it's like the Center of Studies of Aerial Phenomenon. I think that's what it is in English.
Spanish children's books.
No. And Richard W. Hayden was also on this, who I believe is part of APRO, which is a US-based UFO thing. Richard W. Hayden was so much easier to say than any other name in here. So this was in 1877, so they had way more direct sources than me doing this now, or what they could gather in 2023 on this case. Sure, it was from an interview with Diaz on that, but remembering the details and differing from the original is suspect in my opinion. Through the investigation, they found some points that poke holes in Diaz's stories. Also, for reference, you want to know what the title of this article is, Noah?
What?
Carlos Alberto Diaz was a hoaxer. Yeah.
He's faking it.
I'm going to go through the 5 bullet points on why they believe it to be a hoax. First thing they point is the abduction site. It was on Daniel de Solier Street, which, based on their investigation, is a street that is always busy. Even during the early hours of the morning and in the night, it is actually busy. There's plenty of people there who can witness what Diaz said happened. However, in his original case, nobody was there to witness anything. Later on, his 2 friends are there. They asked around, and no one reported anything unusual that day or knowing anything about what happened that day. Nothing seen by them or any dogs alerted to the events occurring were noted. And despite this, also, Diaz mentioned that people knew, and he's been in the article, he mentioned he's been around the world for UFO conferences and stuff to tell his story. I'm I've never heard this guy, and sources on him are very scant. So
Plus, you would think if me, you, and our wives were with us, and you got abducted, we wouldn't just run to a house, and even his wife's house. I would call I don't know how the Argentinian police work.
1975, you could probably get them, especially if he's gone for several hours. But it did not sound like the police were contacted for that.
Yeah,
no,
you know what I mean. It's not a normal abduction where you have to wait 24 hours or whatever. I don't know.
Now, the second point is actually a really interesting one. It is the bus. It is scheduled to have arrived at 3:30, which would have been 25 minutes after he left work at 3:05. And when he would have arrived in Ingerio White would have been 25 minutes later, which would have been 3:55 is when he would have gone to the place to then walk 7 blocks to his home. Now, he claimed to be abducted at 3:50. So we're getting really tight here on time. And he claimed to have only made to Ingerio White at 3:30. But that's a 25-minute drive, and he got off work at 3:05. So he would have had to get on that bus immediately for that time to make sense.
Mm.
The bus schedule conflicts heavily. The third point was they believed that he actually took a train to Buenos Aires to get to the hospital. The paper he got was published at 2:45 a.m. and is usually late, so definitely was out after 3 a.m. So him getting it right after 3:05 is realistic. In this paper he got, which is 200 miles away from Buenos Aires, is how he uses it as an excuse of, hey, this is how I got here, to prove that I was here 200 miles away at 3 a.m. today. I have a newspaper from there from this day, and they abducted me, and then I end up here. But there's a train he could have taken. There's a train that goes directly to Buenos Aires. It is set to arrive at 6:15 a.m. in Bahia Blanca, which is where his final stop which is where he was initially when getting off work. When they were investigating, they realized the train ran behind, which was often, and made it to Bahia Blanca at 7:07 a.m. and made its way to Buenos Aires at 4:10 p.m. The fourth point is that, so you would be he said he made it to the hospital at 4:15 p.m., which is what the time, I guess, actually was. So if you could only make it there at 4:10 p.m. based on the train is what it would be more likely. How would he have done that easily? Well, actually, we find another hole in the story. And the fourth point is that reports that they have from the hospital guards, like written reports, show that Diaz made it to the hospital actually at 5:30 p.m., not 4:15 p.m.
Mm.
And the last point is the results of the psychological assessment of Diaz could be looked at, and it found the following characteristics of Diaz: rich imagination, quick intelligence, without depth for that intelligence, however, inclination to exaggerate, good memory, occasional poor use of judgment, and maladjusted personality. The investigators believe that based on the information given, that Diaz hoaxed the thing and made up the encounter. Why he did that, that's really hard to determine as a reason, as we could not find it. Now, if he was actually going to all these speaking events, then that you can see somewhat of a motive behind it. But the thing is, when they looked at his timeline that he gave, none of it added up to what was physically possible because they tried to recreate the steps of it. So like what they could humanly do.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the possible explanations for what this actually could have been. Now, the first possibility is that this was truly an alien abduction by hair-loving, bald-ass aliens with suckers on their stump-looking arms. This has to mean that aliens are real and they are abducting people. And it would also, we'd have to accept the idea of multiple species of aliens if we believe any other abductions, because these aliens are way off of any others encountered and do not seemingly fit into the mold of any others we currently have reports of or sightings of. It's weird. Now, our next theory is that this is all some type of hallucination by our boy Carlos Alberto Diaz, which isn't too far out of realistic possibility that he might have hallucinated this, whether it's stress, drugs, who knows. It could be a multitude of things that caused him to hallucinate and imagine all of this. And then the last possibility is that the whole thing was a hoax, which, based on the investigation, there were findings that back up this claim, is that none of this could have really made sense time-wise. Because when somebody went to go recreate this, they just couldn't, which is really interesting idea to do, because when you have something where you have a chain of events like this, you can recreate that. And that's, if somebody's hoaxing something, you got to be careful if somebody can recreate your events. Noah, which do you think of these explanations? Like, what do you think occurred?
I don't know. The time frames really get to me.
It really got to me too, especially the fact of then his 48 years later, how different some of those details are on top of it.
Yeah. Like part of me is like, if he made it up, why wouldn't he go for something easier?
I know.
Explain the aliens themselves. Like, aliens have been talked about before this.
This is 1975.
I'm sure, but
we're past the Betty and Barney Hill abduction, the Flatwoods Monster, Roswell, Hopkinsville. We have
he's heard of what common aliens sound like. Why would he make up such a random alien at the same time?
Antonio Villas Boas, his abduction was almost 10 years prior, and that was just in neighboring Brazil, and that one was one that was known. There are cases like that the aliens were described, and he's like, let me just go with the most fucking random ass alien description.
Yeah, that's so. I don't know. Maybe he wanted it to. I don't know. Maybe he thought the more details he could give,
which is apparently
the more it would be believable.
Sometimes that's indicative in lying, is you put too many details into something.
Yeah.
So are you leaning towards the hoax?
Yeah, but it would really suck because he'd have to rip out his own hair.
Yeah, committed to the bit. He had he potentially had a whole what was it, I think 8-hour train ride to do that, because it was a 200-mile distance.
Yeah. Could you imagine being on a train at 3 a.m. or whatever it was?
Some dude's just ripping out
some
his
guy
hair.
next to you is just ripping out his hair. That would terrify me.
Yeah, that would be something else. Oh my God. You're just there taking your morning commute into the capital of Argentina, so the one more populated area, so you have more people in there. Just, the aliens took my hair, the aliens took my hair, and the dude's just in the corner ripping out his hair.
Dude, he's nuts. Yeah, I don't know. It would have been really interesting if the investigators found his hair somewhere, when they were trying to retrace his steps, just been this is where he pulled it out. Yeah.
There's just
that would have been interesting.
In the corner of a random train running to Buenos Aires, in and out, there's just a pile of hair in the corner.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be so fucking weird. So I'm going to let you know my thoughts on this is I'm leaning more towards the hoax end of this. I think he faked this. This is just too weird and different from other encounters. The aliens he described are so different. The sphere he described just does not align with other ones because there has to be something minimal in there. If it's a transparent sphere, when he said transparent, he didn't mention if it said he could view outside, which I'm assuming he means he could. If he knew it was transparent, he had to be able to see something. This tiny ass sphere that the aliens float into, it's just very suspect.
So, didn't you say the sphere was like 8 to 10 feet in diameter?
Yes.
So he was in. How tall was he? Did you say?
I don't know.
Let's assume he's like average height, like 5'8", and then there's 3 more beings in the sphere with him. That's gotta be crazy tight.
That picture I sent you, if you like, they kind of draw the sphere on the side, and they take up the entire frame. There's like no empty space in there. Just him getting fucking assaulted by fucking featureless aliens.
Yeah. I know. Aliens do better.
Yeah, this whole case is fucking weird. So that's my thoughts on it. Just going to run through a conclusion here. So in conclusion, in the early hours of January 4th, 1975, Carlos Alberto Diaz was heading home when a strange light blinded and paralyzed him. He awoke aboard a strange craft and was then met by strange bald green creatures that began stealing his hair. They eventually let Diaz go. He was discovered and taken to a hospital and evaluated over 200 miles away from where he originally was. He was released after an extended time. He was held for an extended time and eventually released. An investigation 2 years later pointed towards a conclusion of a hoax. However, is this truly a hoax, or did Carlos Alberto Diaz get his hair plucked out by aliens on his way home from work? When you put it that way, it really sounds hard to believe. But who knows? There are no pop culture on this case, as this is a more obscure one. But those are the conclusion and really my final thoughts. So, no, do you have any other final thoughts on the hair plucking aliens?
Better shave your head or you'll end up dead. You know, these aliens will get you. They're out there.
So again, are you more on the hoax side or real side?
Oh yeah, I'm leaning towards the hoax for sure.
This is just so fucking weird, and I didn't realize it till I was halfway through it that I found the hoax article because I'm like, this is also fucking weird. And then I found the article where they did the investigation. I'm like, oh, now it's kind of adding up why I thought this was so fucking weird and suspect.
Yeah, if there weren't so many like points in the investigation with the timeline and everything, like I don't know.
It's great that somebody actually does this research into this extra steps because a lot of people just take shit at face value and then, move on with it. And that's one thing that I appreciate that people can do is like when you do a good investigation, because that's also an issue I keep seeing with some of this. I did find some other sites on here that basically like ran this through AI just to summarize it and got so many details wrong and then posted online to just spread more misinformation on this.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, Noah, as you've probably heard sometimes that whenever I'm not doing a serious episode like a true crime one, I never do it on true crime, but I do this on other episodes. How many hair plucking aliens out of 10 do you rate this alien abduction? 10 being very believable, 0 being none.
I'll give it a 3 only because like he went the extra mile and plucked out his own hair. Like that's
what? That is a
you
fair
gotta give him something. You gotta give him something.
I'll give him a 2 hair plucking aliens out of 10. Now, you did 3, the right answer, because there were 3 during the event, so you lined up perfectly. But I'll give him a 2 out of 10 on this one.
Yes, you're not including the cuck.
The alien in the cuck chair. This is where the cheering alien goes in your hotel room whenever your wife or husband is pulling out your hair.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
This one's just so goofy, and I just love all these wild tales, like wild little side things and jokes you can make about this.
I wonder, I mean, since it's so obscure, I'm sure you didn't find much information, but I'd like to see what the wife would have to say. Because, like, let's say he hoaxed it. He was gone for, like, over 12 hours from his home for this whole time. And, well, multiple days because of the hospital stay. Your wife would have had to warn her, like, hey, I'm planning this alien abduction. I'm going to pull out my own hair.
I don't know. Maybe she just believes it too. Maybe his wife was making something he really didn't want to eat that night. And he's like, fuck, she's making casserole again. Ugh, time to get abducted, I guess.
I'd rather pull out my own hair.
I'm gonna pull out my own hair, say aliens did it, and cheered on while they did it, and I won't have to deal with it then. God damn, Linda's making the fucking roast again. I told her I don't want it anymore.
Oh my
I
God.
can't believe we didn't make this joke earlier. This is where a lot of people side up, like stop listening by the end. They're missing the best part about talking about the roast and the shitty dinner. Dude, some dudes just want to get Texas Roadhouse after a long day.
Yeah.
But this man, his wife was probably making the roast or the casserole, and he's like, fuck. Well, we're getting probed, maybe. He's probably like on the train, be like, do I get like probed? Do I get like have to have sex with the aliens like that guy in Brazil? Or do they just take my hair? He's just like sitting in the corner of the train, be like, what did they do to me whenever I was on there so I can recreate it?
He's like, does anyone have an umbrella or anything? I might need to borrow it.
God, this is so goofy. Well, I think that's about it then for today. So thank you, Noah, for joining today. I hope you had a great time and hope you can join us again sometime. It was really nice having you on this episode. I thought it was a very interesting case and it was great to have you on it. Did you like this one?
Oh, it was good. It was great.
Was it?
It was great.
Was it everything you expected from an alien abduction case?
It was that and more.
This is truly a one-of-a-kind one. And as I said earlier, how I choose the weird ones, I think this is like my fourth really one-of-a-kind crazy-ass one. God forbid I do a regular one.
Those aren't fun.
No, they're a little fun, but like this is goofy fun type of stuff. I can just make jokes about the cuck chair, bald people attacking haired people, the fucking straight light versus the gay light. I mean, it was just the writing was there. It was just given to me way too easily.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone, thank you for listening. If you like what you're listening to, go check us out on our Instagram and TikTok. And on whatever platform you're listening on, please feel free to give us a like, comment, review, subscribe. Every little bit helps boost us up in the algorithm. So we really appreciate the support you guys are all giving us. We've definitely seen a little growth in our followers on Spotify. And we're hoping to see some more growth in those ratings. So give us some ratings and maybe on Apple Podcasts as well, where you can actually write something because can't write anything on Spotify unless you comment. And besides the guy who said AI ? We haven't got one in a little bit. And that guy who said AI ? I responded to him and he said nothing then. Loser. There's also an episode I worked hard on and I'm like, you're kidding me. You're going to question my good episode that I worked really hard and put a lot of time into? Yeah. Okay. Bite me. All right. Then we're going to sign off, Noah. So if you remember, we do the alternating. So I bet you're going to kill it. So everyone, remember, you say to look for.
Oh, I'm killing it. To look for.
The unknown.
Unsolved.
And the unseen. Bye, guys.
Triple
Thanks
U.
for listening. Oh, yeah. You know what? Do you want to go through that again, or do you want to keep that
No,
one?
no, keep it. Keep it, keep
Okay.
it, keep it.
You know, I'm like, I also forget, like, you say you listen, but, like, I doubt you listen to the outro every time, because I don't even listen to my own outro, and I don't even, like, listen to the outro, like, half the podcast I listen to, so the only one I can tell you is, may the deep dish bless you and keep you from one of the podcasts I listen to. All the other ones, I got no fucking idea what their outros are. All right, thank you guys for listening. So have a wonderful night, everyone, and watch out for those aliens and their straight lights and their hair plucking. Bye.